Tonight we got a great guest for you, author of the Henrietta and Inspector Howard series, Miss Michelle Cox. Stay tuned.
Talking Junk Network,
where entertainment lives.
Welcome to Talking Junk.
I'm your host, Jason Melendez.
Live now every week on Fridays.
Talking Junk.
A multitude of professionals in different aspects, different walks of life.
You have to come on and talk junk like a normal person.
Welcome to Talking Junk, the podcast that comes to you live every Friday night. And I know it's been a little while that I haven't came live with you guys. And don't let the COVID brain get my mouth all flustered tonight. Just listen with your eyes tonight. This is your twofer tonight. Right, for you guys on Spotify, you're not gonna know what the fuck I'm talking about, but for you guys on YouTube, you're getting a second episode tonight, a second interview. Another lovely lady tonight. She is the author of Henrietta and Inspector Howard series of books. Let's just bring her right on and see what's going on with Miss Michelle Cox. How you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing okay.
Thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Have you been around the podcast circuit long?
I have. Yeah, I've done a lot of podcasts in the last several years. So yeah, I used to get like super nervous and had to like, drink a beer or, take some stuff beforehand. But not this time, now I'm
You're a pro now.
Chill. Pretty much, yeah.
So, good.
Cool. Yeah, and for a while I was trying to do my own show. I was kind of experimenting, and that really helped too. But that's a lot of work, so I give you a lot of credit.
Thank you. It is a lot of work. Juggling with a full-time 40-hour work week and a family at home. It's hard, but you got to do what you got to do to make your dreams live.
That's true.
Which you're doing. You got a whole book series here. When did you start writing?
Well, I started writing probably like 2012. I wrote a different book before I wrote the series, and that did not go anywhere.
What was that book called?
It was called Love's Labor Found. So yeah, I clearly did not have any clue what I was doing. So I tried to shop it. I think I sent it to like 200 agents, and it was just like going nowhere. So I decided, you know what? Either there's something wrong with the product or there's something wrong with the process. So I sort of worked on both of those things to, figure it out. And I just decided, you know what? I need to just start over. I'd learned a lot by that point. And so then I started with the series, and that first book came out in 2016. So
that was a great process. That was a great process of elimination, because most people say, oh my God, my book didn't sell. It's me. What am I doing? So it was either the product or the process for you. And where did you narrow down you would make your series set in the 30s? It's a pretty specific niche there.
Yeah, and that's a good question. It's because I based the main character. So one of the main characters is Henrietta, and I based her on a woman that I actually met in a nursing home. I used to work in nursing homes for a long time. And I tell writing groups this, that if you are stumped for ideas, just go sit in a nursing home for like 2 weeks because you'll have more stories than you could ever use.
Oh yeah. So, I'm going on 3 years working in one. I can tell you some doozies.
Okay, right? Yeah. I mean, there's such great stories. I mean, these people were living and working in Chicago in their heyday in like the 30s and 40s, and just amazing stories of perseverance and what they had to overcome. So they're really inspirational. So when I was kind of searching around for this idea for a mystery, I was at that point I was just going to do a one-off, and I went back to some of these old stories, and I based Henrietta on this woman who used to tell me that she had a man-stopping body and a personality to go with it.
Okay.
And I'm
The
like, okay.
the proverbial Coke bottle.
Right, exactly. I'm like, who tells somebody that? So I thought, even at the time when I wasn't writing, I'm like, that would be a great novel. So I was looking for an idea, and I thought, okay, I'm going to base a story on this woman. And of course, I had to invent the murder and the inspector and all that kind of stuff. But I really wanted to write in the 40s. That's sort of my real, where my heart lies. But she had a job at the Chicago World's Fair in the 30s.
Okay.
And I just really wanted to put that detail in there. And I thought, well, I can do the 30s for one book. But then it turned into a series. And I'm like, you know what? Actually, I'm kind of glad, because there's so much World War II out there. And now there's a lot of World War I with Downton Abbey. And this kind of fits right between those two eras. So I'm glad I did it now.
Do you get any comparisons to Sherlock Holmes being set in those times?
Not really, because he's much more like clue based.
Oh, sorry, this isn't ASMR. Let me.
He's much more clue based, and mine are more, I don't know, they're really more about the character development and kind of what's going on in their life. There's lots of subplots, and it's pretty heavy, has a pretty heavy romantic thread going through it too.
Okay. So
Yeah.
are they a romantic couple?
They are, yes. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler. They do eventually end up getting married in book 3. So, yeah.
Okay.
But then, I didn't really, again, didn't really realize what I was doing. And I didn't realize that most series authors sort of tease that relationship across the whole series, like, will they, won't they? So once I sort of, didn't have that will they, won't they, although I kind of have them, question it for a couple of books. I had to bring in other characters who have, the romantic tension going on. So
A little bit
that's how I got around that one.
Second love interest.
Yeah, for sure. Or even a third.
Now, did you take your inspiration from anywhere else, or was your full inspiration from this lady at the nursing home?
Yeah, kind of from her. I mean, I'm not a huge mystery reader. I was as a kid. I don't read that so much anymore, but definitely took from different historical fiction authors I like, or even a few movies. I think I've watched every period drama ever made. So I'm a big period drama junkie. So it was kind of good to have a lot of that, sort of detail, swirling around in my head, so I could use that.
Do you have any other ideas swirling around in your head? Maybe another novel?
Wow. Okay, so I have written 2 other straight up historical fiction standalones that have nothing to do with the series. They're just historical women's fiction, and I am trying to get those published right now. I'm working on book 7 of the series, and that's going to be the end. And then I was going to do a spinoff of this series, like maybe some of the characters, or advance the series maybe by 10 years. But I had a really new idea in the last couple of weeks, and I've told my family about it, and they love it. But it's really a very different genre for me, well, sort of. It would be historical fantasy.
Okay.
So I'm kind of thinking about this World War I nurse who comes across this strange guy on the battlefield. So kind of goes from there. He's actually not of this world. So it's a fun story. I just don't know if my readers would jump along for that. So I have.
I mean, sometimes you have to drag in new readers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I'm kind of thinking too. I mean, I'd like to continue like that historical part of this story, because that's where my heart is. But I've always dreamed of writing some sort of fantasy. So I just think that might be a cool mix. And I've read a couple of books that have done it really well. So I know it can be done.
Okay. Going off of your spinoff, if you did a spinoff that you said was maybe 10 years down the line and it worked, would you keep going with spinoffs and advancing to maybe to now?
Oh, probably not, but never say never. Because I wouldn't want to go too much past the 40s because that's where my sort of background knowledge sort of goes way down. And then it would have to be a lot of research. This doesn't really require a ton of research for me because it's all sort of just there in my head. So,
Okay.
and that's where my heart is really. So, I would go backwards in time rather than if I had to, rather than forward.
So do a prequel almost.
Yeah, that's another idea too, because I have such a dedicated readership, and I know that they would gobble up anything that, well, I hope that I would write about these characters. So I'm trying to think about what I could do creatively with that.
And now your books aren't YA, are they?
No, they're not.
But do they have very strong adult themes?
They do. I mean, they're sort of a strange mix because they're sort of lighthearted in a way, kind of like the Nick and Nora, the old black and whites, or the heart
How
to
you
heart.
doing, honey?
Yeah, that kind of thing, or heart to heart from the 80s, that show. So it's kind of light in some ways, but then there's some pretty darker themes. Like there's, of course, there's always a murder, but there's, questions of mental illness, and there's an insane asylum in book 5, and there's rape and
Okay.
forced marriage, all that kind of stuff.
Strong themes.
Yeah. And it's definitely rated R. So it's funny because I get in trouble a lot with the cozy mystery folks who cozy mysteries is supposed to be no sex, no violence, no swearing, and I could have a little bit of swearing, not a lot of violence, but there's definitely sex. And so people will write to me and say, I'm so offended that there was sex in this book. This is supposed to be a cozy mystery. I'm like, no, it's not. Has been never marketed that way. But people, I think, see the covers and that, yeah, thank you. See the website and they kind of feel cozy, I think. And so they kind of make that mistake.
Right, it does. It kind of has that inviting feel to it. Like there's something about the old days that draws you in, and it does, like you said, it makes you feel cozy.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a little bit of little bit of an error there, but that's okay. Some cozy mystery readers aren't so rigid. So, even if you are a cozy mystery fan, most people, enjoy the books. They just skip over the sex.
I mean, that's the best part. Why skip over it?
I know. It's always awkward though, because it's like my friends and family are beta readers for me, so it's always a little bit, awkward.
I'm sure they're adults though.
Yeah. Yeah, some people, of the friend group really love it, like bring it on, and then, some family, like my mom's like, I think there's too much sex in these books. I'm like, well, Mom, she's like, people don't want to read sex. I'm like, yeah, they kind of do.
Yeah, sex sells, Mom. Sex sells.
Yeah, right. So cool.
So, was it kind of intimidating after your first book to get this series out? Or did you always plan for it to be a series, or did you kind of just write it to be a one-off?
I wrote it to be one-off because I realized a lot of the mistakes I had made with the first book. And so I thought, the way to get an agent, which is to write something shorter and sexier and more mysterious and fast paced. And I thought, okay, I'll write a mystery. And that, again, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get an agent. There's a million mystery writers out there. So I eventually ended up going to a conference in New York because I figured I need to know more about what I'm doing. I'm such a newbie. And so
Want to make your dreams come true? Come to New York City.
Yes, exactly. But it was great. I mean, I really did learn a lot, and I was introduced to a hybrid publisher. So they're She Writes Press. They're out of Berkeley. They publish women only, as the name suggests. But they are not a vanity press, so it's kind of a different way to publish.
So hybrid publishers only publish women?
No, this particular hybrid does, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what exactly is a hybrid publisher?
So a hybrid publisher is they sort of live between traditional and self-publishing. So it's kind of a curated thing. So you pay an upfront fee, but you get a cover, you get in your interior layout, you get editing, you get a lot of education about how to market and how the publishing process works.
Do you have input on the covers?
Yes, which most authors don't. So
They don't?
oh gosh, no published like if you're in it with a big five, you have no input at all.
Oh wow. I would think that you would, the artwork is inspired by you. It's your vision.
No, yeah, you would think, but no. With the big five, you're not considered at all. In fact, your agent has to write into the contract that you will at least be, your opinion will be considered, and that's it. And that's hard to get. So that's one advantage of this, outfit is that they really are kind of there to champion women. They're there to educate you on how to publish, and they really want you to be part of the creative process. So the flip, I mean, they do they only take about 7% of their submissions are like totally flooded, but they only publish 80 books a year. And the big key is that you're traditionally distributed, so we're in libraries and bookstores and all that kind of stuff, as
Okay.
if you were published with a big five. But the nice part is that you make more profit off the back end. So,
Yeah, that's always good.
yeah. So, like, I make 80% off an ebook, and I think a traditionally published author, I don't know. I don't even know what the numbers are, but much, much lower.
I know a
So,
lot of authors now are opting out to self-publish.
yeah. And, to be honest, I'm kind of thinking about jumping that route. I mean, that's why I'm ending the series with book 7, because I've had a good run with She Writes Press, and I've been really happy with them, and they've produced good products. But um, yeah, I just can't afford to keep doing this, and it's getting harder and harder to break into traditional publishing because they keep merging. And I've just really been intrigued by the indie community, and I think it's really growing, and I just love the possibilities that are out there. And I really think that's what I'm going to do next,
Yeah.
especially if I do this fantasy historical series.
You should go for it. You're already an
Yeah,
established author. You have your fan base. The fan
yeah,
base can only get larger.
you would hope. Yeah.
I mean, especially
So,
doing the circuit like you're doing.
yeah, right. I do an incredible amount of marketing, and so I do have Shearer's Press to thank for that. Or I did work with a PR company for a long time. I hired them, and they really taught me a lot.
Yeah, which is
And
why you have amazing product placement because I can see that book right over your shoulder and she's staring me right in my face the whole episode.
yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. They taught me so much. I mean, at the beginning, I didn't even want to have a website. I was in like negative numbers in
Oh,
terms of.
your website is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
My
Yeah,
my website looks like Etch and Sketch compared to yours.
yeah, it's been a process for sure. I've learned a lot. And just about being on social media and, connecting with people, and that was a big learning curve for me. So,
Well,
you
that's where
know,
the journey is too, right? The
yeah,
journey's in the process. So that's where you meet all the interesting people, you
for
doing your
sure.
your book circuits, and I know you probably got some amazing stories.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the conferences are where make a lot of those connections and a lot of those relationships. So those are really important to go to too.
What kind of conferences now? They have just basic author conferences?
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. I mean, there's a lot of like just straight up writing conferences like the San Francisco Writing Conference, or there's one in Kauai, or so there are those everywhere. But then there's
Okay.
a lot of genre specific ones. Like there's a ton of mystery conferences like Killer Nashville or Thriller Fest or Crime Bake or BoucherCon. So these tend to, and there's a big romance one, there's a big historical novel society one. So it's been kind of fun for me because I've jumped around to a lot of different ones and just met a lot of different people. It's really cool.
Would you ever consider shopping Henrietta and Inspector Howard to maybe like streaming service like Netflix or Amazon?
Oh my God. It's $1 million question, right? I mean, I am not exaggerating. I'm not kidding. I have gotten, I don't know, hundreds, maybe 1,000 emails from readers saying, when is this going to be on Netflix? And I'm like,
I would
tell
say
me.
I think Amazon would probably have more of a chance of picking it up just because your time period kind of clashes with their shoot, what's her name? I know they did a kind of a spin-off of Sherlock Holmes, and it's his sister Enola Holmes. Enola Holmes.
Yes.
So that it
Yeah.
kind of clashes with their Enola Holmes, but I think you would be a perfect fit on Amazon
Thank you. I mean, I've tried.
or
I'm
even HBO
trying.
Max.
Yeah, that's what I was
Even
thinking
HBO.
too.
Yeah.
I've been trying to sort of dip my toe in that world, which is a different whole universe I've discovered. But I think what you need is to get the attention of a showrunner, and I've gotten it in front of a couple of producers, but for just an evaluation. And their response to me has been, this is great writing, but it's period, and nobody in Hollywood wants to do period drama right now. I'm like, really? What about Bridgerton?
Well,
Or
I think it all depends on who you speak to because I was just watching a video that kind of explained that. I think it was Matt Damon explaining that. And he
oh,
says that Hollywood has changed so much with streaming services now because they used to make all their money on the back end with the DVDs. So if you didn't
mm,
make your money in the movie theaters, you can almost always expect to make your money back with the DVDs. But now DVDs are obsolete and they have streaming services. So the streaming services are taking over, which they don't get as much profit as they would on a movie from that. So people are kind of weary of making things like period movies just because it won't sell. He said something about having to make a hundred million just to be able to break even.
oh my God.
So
That's
it
incredible.
I think a TV show would be perfect for this.
I think so too, like a streaming series.
Right.
Yeah. Because I mean, there's somebody said that the one of the advantages is that there's 7 books, so that's a lot of IP. So you have a lot to work with. There's a lot of characters, and there's a lot of subplots going on. And it's sort of the girl power, is what one producer said he would spin it as if he were going to pitch it.
Yeah, that would be perfect, especially nowadays. That's really big.
Yeah, yeah, I know. So I don't know. I mean,
Why
it's
don't you think
it's who
about
you
going
know.
right? It is who you know, but it's also what you do. So why don't you ever thought about taking the Mario Puzo route and writing your own screenplay for the series?
Thought about that too, and it's another good reason to go to some of these conferences because they usually have, a session on this topic, and it seems to be divided. Like some people say Hollywood does not want you to write the script because you're not a script writer, you're a novelist, and that's a different skill set. And then other people say, yeah, but if you have something that's ready to go, it's easier for them to look at. So
Right. I mean, you can always critique a screenplay, but if you're doing it from the actual novel writer, then you have more information in that screenplay than you would from somebody on the outside looking in.
that's true.
Which is why
Although
The Godfather was amazing.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, some people say you should not bother with the script and you should focus your time on making like a pitch deck or a pitch Bible. So
Hmm.
I'm kind of learning what that is. I'm like, okay, but what if I went through the work to make this whole thing? Because you can
Right.
put in like imagery and music, which is sounds like a kind of a cool project. So you give them like a feel, what it was supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
But then, okay, what if I made all that and then who am I supposed to show this to?
I mean, it's never a waste because let's say you waste. I mean, well, see, I just said it wasn't a waste, and then I said, "What if you waste?" If you put your time into actually making this screenplay, and let's say you get passionate enough to where you want to make a little 20-minute movie on your own accord, you know what I mean? Hire your own little actors. Now you have something you can shop around at film festivals.
That's true.
So
That's a good
not only
point.
are you right, not only are you a novelist, now you're a full fledged movie maker. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
doing what you need to do for your own stuff. Now, I usually don't do this with anybody, but since we're talking about the possibility of maybe somewhere down the line this being on TV, uh, who are the top 5 characters from this series that would definitely make uh they would make a place in the series 4, and who would you cast?
Oh my God, that's so hard because I'm so not into like pop culture. So I say my kids this all the time. I'm like, who should play Clive and who should play Henrietta? I mean, you would definitely have to have Henrietta and Clive because they're the main couple, and then
All right.
you would have to have her younger sister Elsie, who's the sort of quiet, bookish one who keeps trying to decide if she wants to be a nun or run off with this German immigrant.
You said Elsie.
Elsie, yeah. That's Henrietta's sister.
Okay.
And then you
So
would
we got
definitely have to have his Gunther, who is a German immigrant, who's sort
okay.
of the love interest for Elsie.
Nice. And who's your last?
Oh God, it's so hard. I mean, literally, there's so many characters. I guess let's put in Clive's mother, Antonia.
Okay. Describe Howard for me. We'll since you're not too into the pop culture thing,
So,
I'll
so
help you cast it.
okay, so Clive. Okay, so my picture of him is okay. Just bear with me. It would be like Cary Grant type, like a Matthew McFadden if he was younger,
Don't
or
know who either one of those people are.
a really young Paul Newman. Like, he is so
Okay.
he's
I see
very
who
prim and
Paul Newman
proper,
is.
but
Hmm.
he's been through the war. So he's been through World War One. He's injured. He's a detective, but he's actually from a very wealthy family. So he's very mannered. He's very cultured. But when they first meet, he doesn't show her that side. He's a detective in the city. So it's not until they really fall in love that he reveals to her that actually I am the heir to this really huge estate in the North Shore. And instead of being like, "Oh, yay, I'm rich," she's kind of pissed off because she feels like he kind of lied to her. Like she thought she was going to, be engaged to this cop in Chicago, and
How old is Clive?
Clive's like 34 and she's like 19.
34, huh?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So he's a bit reserved. He's the usual, detective that's a bit cold, but he's, she unlocks him type of thing.
All right. So we got a middle-aged actor, kind of good looking.
Hmm.
This is kind of hard.
It is kind of hard.
See, I was thinking Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and so you said he was 34, and I'm like, but like double his age.
Yeah, I know.
Huh. That's interesting.
Right.
Hmm.
And for me, Henrietta is kind of like a Rita Hayworth versus Amy Adams type of. She's supposed to be very gorgeous. She auburn hair,
How old would she be?
19.
Ooh, so you have to get Sync to play her, especially since she's so hot off the roll of Netflix Stranger Things.
Ooh, yeah.
Sadie Sink. Right here, I'll show her to you. She is your Henrietta.
Oh, yes. Yeah, she's beautiful.
And if she's not your Henrietta, then you have, shoot, what's her name? Lily Reinhardt.
Oh, she's beautiful too. Yeah. Either one of those would be awesome.
Now you said Gunther, right? A big, burly German guy. Let's see.
He's the usual blonde hair, blue eyes, but he's kind of in Germany. He was a professor, so he's very
Okay.
gentle. He's very soft spoken.
What kind of build does he got? Is he big and burly, or is he like?
No, he's not really big and burly. He's more like thin, not wiry, but average build.
Okay. Work with me here. What do you think
Glasses.
about this guy right here?
Oh no, he's way too old.
Way too old?
Yeah, Gunther is like
For Gunther?
24 or something.
Okay. All right. Well, there goes my head.
Sorry.
I thought I had a good head for casting. Yeah, well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is hard, especially when you don't really have the rundown for the characters. Only you in your head right now know what these guys look like.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I actually had a trailer produced by a Hollywood company
For this series?
for the 6th book.
Okay.
And they tried to shy away from doing any close-ups of actors or actresses because they didn't want to cloud that. They didn't want to attach an image and to
Right. They
these
didn't
characters.
basically want to typecast the act. I mean, the character into a certain actor or actress.
Yeah. Right.
Because in the cover for Spying Eye.
There's the trailer right there.
Okay, yeah, let's play this. But she kind of looks like shoot, I always forget her name. I got it right now, I'll tell you. A Spying Eye.
Yay. Yeah.
Pre-order now.
They did a great job.
They did. That was intense.
Yeah.
And she looks a lot on that cover like Rachel McAdams.
Yes, you're right. And somebody else named another actress that she looks very similar to as well. And of course, now I
Yeah,
can't
the
think of her
girl
name.
from Game of Thrones. I always forget her name.
Yes, yes, that's who they mentioned. Yep. I always forget her name too. It's different. Yeah, so who
Emily
knows?
Clark.
Emily Clark. I don't know. Maybe that's it.
I'll show you her right now. Oops.
It's
Intense
playing
music
again.
playing. Right
I
here.
love it.
This is Emily Clark.
Yes, she does look like her.
Yeah,
She would be good.
she would, and she's pretty young. She can't play a
Yeah.
19-year-old, but she's pretty young.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I think you got a good one there. Let's
Thank
start
you.
shopping this around.
All right, let's do it. I know. I got to get on it. I mean, but I have been trying, but I just feel like, if it's meant to be, it'll be.
It'll happen. This book will, one of these books will come across an executive's desk, and they're going to say, "Eureka! This is what I've been waiting for.
We want to do it.
Let's
So,
bring back time-based period acting.
right?
We
Yeah.
need that."
I would think, I mean, it's not going to make money probably at a theater like you were saying, but I don't know. I'm thinking
It would do wonders on a streaming platform,
right.
especially with Bridgerton. People are always looking for something to bridge the gap from season to season.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yep.
So people have advised me, like sit tight, wait for Hollywood to sort of, change, get out of its sort of no period drama, mood.
It's not. I don't think it's going to break into that. We were discussing that on one of my Saturday night podcasts a couple weeks ago, and it's like the MCU kind of screwed all of that up for movies. Marvel, if it's not a big franchise, Marvel, Terminator, Maverick, all of these things, they're not going to do those numbers in the theaters at all.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's really tough. And it's kind of a little bit like that in book publishing as well, because the big five really are very risk averse. Same thing. So they really only want a big blockbuster book. So they are way more interested in just keeping their stable of Stephen King's and J.K. Rowling's because they know they're going to make money from them. They're very very unwilling to take on new authors because they're worried about the bottom line. So,
it's always the bottom line.
Yeah. But there's just so many writers out there. So it's tough. It's tough to find a way to get your work out there. I think whether you're a writer or a filmmaker or a musician or whatever it is.
Or a podcaster. So subscribe, and make sure you got those notifications going.
Yes.
But thank you very much for coming on. It was a pleasure having you. It was a great interview. Thank you very much for gracing our presence.
Welcome. Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
The pleasure was all mine. And remember to go wherever books are sold, Barnes and Nobles. Even if you want to just take a look, go to your local library. She's in all your local libraries. You're looking for her 5 books that are out now. The 6th one comes out October 25th. So you're looking for A Girl Like You, A Ring of Truth, A Promise Given, A Veil Removed, and A Lost Child. And don't forget to go to michellecoxauthor.com and pre-order A Spying Eye right now. Available October 25th, 2022. You don't want to miss one of the biggest series to come anywhere. TV. We're going to bring back radio.
Yeah.
Everything for the Henrietta Inspector Howard novels. So stay tuned.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This was fun.
And I can't wait for it to come out so you can come back on.
Okay, great. Love to.
All right. Sounds good. And I can't let you junkers go without telling you this episode was brought to you by Dizzle, the premium liqueur straight out of California. You want this in every drink. Not it's classified as a liqueur, but this thing hits. You can drink it straight on ice, mix it with anything. And I mean anything. This thing mixes very well. It's premium mango liqueur, and it's classified as liqueur because it is cognac and tequila mixed. Mixed. It's so good. I'm drinking that right now. Go to my Instagram. You can see some recipes. And we are also today brought to you by Excalibur by Heaven's Pantry, the only gluten-free, all-natural, vegan chocolate energy bar that is really a brownie. It is so good. So good. 6 simple ingredients: dates, cashews, almonds, cocoa powder, coconut oil, and sea salt. Nothing in this bar that you cannot pronounce. Go to Amazon and order your Excalibur. Use the promo code TalkJunk69 to get 10% off every order. Every single order. You can't beat that. That eliminates shipping. If you're a Prime member and you get shipping for free, that means it still takes 10% off of the value. So be sure to get those bars. They go good with everything.
Awesome.
We
I'm gonna
are
have
just-
to try that Dizzle. That looks really good.
Oh, yes. Oh, oops.
Wrong one. Almost.
So Dizzle is wonderful. I'm sponsored, so they send it to me. But right now, as a matter of fact, I have your Instagram. I'll send you the link. You can get it from Emilio's. Where are you located?
Chicago suburbs.
Okay, so it'll take maybe 3 or 4 days to get to you, but the wait is 100% worth it. This thing is amazing. Amazing. It is 80
I can't
proof.
wait.
Tastes just like mango.
That looks amazing.
We're going to leave the viewers right now with your very compelling trailer.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you. Have a great night. Junkers,
Thanks, you
until
too.
next week. I love you always. Order a spying eye right now. Pre-order it and get it October 25th, 2022.